Hey there, welcome to Coaching with Tally here, connecting with you guys all this week on a new series that we're doing, connecting to the masterpiece that you are. What does it cost you to not live fully out of who you truly are? What is the confidence that you lack? What are the things that you feel like you're missing when you're not living out of the fullness of who you are? So we're going to connect this week a little bit, and probably next week, a little bit about some things that you can do to dial up confidence, some things that you can do to really live in alignment with who you are, what you're made for, dialing in that place of living from a strong identity. And that's something that grows over time. That's something that we are all on a journey with. And so today specifically, I want to talk a little bit about what are the costs of not living true to who you really most truly are, and what's the why behind it, because I think that'll take some of the maybe regret, shame, feelings of guilt out of it. When we understand the why, it can help us dial into what it is that we want to create and how we can live out of that more fully. So we'll get into more of the benefits of it, but I am going to leave you with a tangible thing that you can take away today, something you can start doing immediately that will help steer you into this place of living really fully, really aligned, really connected to the amazing gift that you are, the strengths that you have, and living from that place. So my name is Tally. I'm a life and personal development coach, and I have the honor and privilege of getting to work with leaders to create lives of overflowing impact in the world that are centered in this place of joy, really getting you aligned to who it is you most truly are. And that's a lot of what we're talking about in this series. I also really focus on getting you firing on all cylinders. So we look at every important area of life. I have a life wheel assessment, and we look at every important area of life, get really clear about where you are and where you want to go, a lot about vision and goals and accountability, and connecting you to what it is you want to be creating in life so that you can have a life that you love living, so that you can live in this place of overflow, really making a difference in the lives of others. So I do that through private coaching and group coaching. I lead a mastermind and I facilitate retreats. And I'm going to be kicking off a community that brings people together to do this work with each other. So that's what I'm in the process of and stepping into currently. So a lot of fun, but today talking about specifically what are the costs of not knowing who you are or not living out of that place, who you most truly are, having that place of strong identity. So a lot of times we feel like there's something missing. We just have this sense that there's something missing. Maybe we notice that we're living at a low level of apathy in one or more areas of our life, feeling discontent with parts of our life. Maybe you've realized that you've steered yourself into a career or relationship that really doesn't align with who you are, and it really isn't fulfilling for you. It doesn't make you happy. Living with this sense of waiting for somebody else to kind of find you and tell you who you are, whether that's in a kind of professional workspace or more of a relationship or maybe family members, but you're looking outside of yourself for somebody to like see you and tell you who you are. And that's, I mean, all of us have that to some degree, and we'll get into more about that here in a little bit. Maybe just feeling like you aren't satisfied, like you're not comfortable inside of your own skin, or the person that you are, you're just like, this is like, there's something that feels dissonant about it or not aligned. Or maybe you struggle to have vision very far, like being able to see outside of the current situation that you're in. And you're like, man, why can I not connect with where I'm headed or what I really want? So all of those could be signs that there is something possible for you to step into in terms of upgrading your sense of identity, upgrading the place that you live from, and just the connection with yourself in who you are. So that's something I love to do because I feel like it makes such a difference in every area of life. When we get really grounded and connected with who we are and we fall in love with the person that we are, we're able to really love and enjoy ourselves. We're able to really be connected to what is in us and what we have vision for. It expands so much in terms of what we live out of, the energy that we have, the excitement that we have that we're bringing to life, and what we create in the world. It does all of those things. So I want to talk a little bit about one of the things I want to say is that we are born not knowing who we are. So none of us are born like, oh, I just know who I am and walk in all this confidence. Like, it's not something that we have. It's something that we develop over time. So I want to say that first of all. So if there are any feelings of like shame kind of stuff for not knowing more who you are and not walking in that more confidently, like, it's a journey for everybody. And some people who appear to be really confident actually are not. They have a lot of skills in the way of being able to figure out what other people want from them and be able to perform really well. All of us wear masks. That's just part of the human condition. We try and figure out how to get our needs met. We try to figure out how to protect ourselves emotionally, and we end up figuring out that wearing masks to be who we think we're supposed to be, what the expectations are from us in the world, we end up wearing these masks, and over time we realize that those masks actually end up hurting us far more than they help us get what it is we need or want. And so at some point in life, and a lot of times it's pointed at midlife crisis, that's a lot of what's going on. We're like, wait a minute, like, this isn't actually who I am, and it's not actually getting me what I want. It's not creating a fulfilling life for me. So what is it that I want, and who am I really? And it's this whole journey of self-discovery. You know, we see it in movies like Eat, Pray, Love, where she goes, you know, around the world to have this self-discovery process, and she comes home realizing how much she really loves herself and coming home to you. That's what this series is really all about. So we're not born knowing who we are. It's a journey of discovery for all of us. And just because, you know, some people look like they're having this all together, a lot of times that's not the case. So it's a journey for everyone. So I just encourage you to get on the journey wherever you're at in the process, however aware you are, however much work you've done on yourself. There's so much more. There's always more to step into. So because we are connective in nature, because we are part of, just as human beings, we're part of a system of people and beliefs and groups, sometimes it's really hard to know what it is you actually think and want, because we're so connected to outside input. We're so connected to the belief systems we were brought up in, or the family members who have a really strong sense of what they think would be really good for you. And so we just tend to steer into those kinds of expectations and end up living a lot out of these places of like, like I should do this, or I should do that, or, you know, you have this, it's a lot at a subconscious level. But we have these expectations of ourselves that often we adopt from other people. And then at some point we realize that's not actually mine. I'm carrying this thing around, this expectation of what I'm supposed to be or what I'm supposed to do. But that's not actually truly inside of me. It doesn't align with what I really feel or what I really believe about myself or what I should be doing or whatever it is. So coming into this place where you get clear about who you are and what you love about yourself and what it is you feel like you're made for is a really beautiful, beautiful journey. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. So that's a little bit about expectations. The other thing is that our identity is, to some degree, it's constantly changing as we have different experiences in life, as we upgrade our awareness of what's possible. So the work that I do with private clients, it's really fun. Like I use a life wheel assessment. So it's like a pie graph, like a wheel, and we look at the different areas, and they start usually like their satisfaction level of life is lower, and then we create vision for life and what they want, and they build out as we create goals around it, as we create vision for what it is they want, as we put action steps and have accountability, and they grow that out. And then every time, by the time we get to like 9s and 10s out of 10 and their pie is looking really, really full, they're like, oh my gosh, I have so much more awareness of what's possible now than I did when we started this. Like, I couldn't have even imagined launching this other thing or having a relationship like that. Like, it just, like, I did not have it on board to even be able to see it. And now I'm like, of course, let's step the stretching into bigger spaces, and so they redefine 10 for themselves. So the 1 out of 10, where they were at a 1 or 5 or whatever they were at, and they get out to 9 and 10. Now they've reset their 10. And so we're constantly growing, we're constantly changing and being molded by our experiences, having a growing awareness of our strengths and what's possible for us. So sometimes, another thing is that sometimes transitions in life, a lot of times pain and loss shape our perspective. Like, we all of a sudden have this awareness like, man, I am kind of just going through the motions in life. but I'm not intentionally steering myself into the things that I really want. It's not coming from this place of alignment in me with who I feel like I am made to be in the world, or using like kind of coming from this place of what is the best use of me in the world, that utilizes my strengths, that taps into my passions, that causes me to overflow in the world. A lot of times we're just kind of, checking boxes and living out of a lot of shoulds, and we don't even realize it sometimes until we hit up against something, some kind of pain, some kind of loss, some kind of transition. I just met someone this morning, had a call with her. She's actually going to become a client, which is really fun. But this is one of the things for her where she's like, man, I've just been doing all these things and creating some really great results. I've built a lot of amazing things, but she's transitioning. Like, all of her kids are leaving home, and she's realizing, there is so much more that I want to be doing with my life that I don't even have any intention set for. I don't have any path to get there. I just am like, there's this whole part of me that's just been on the shelf. And so I'm so excited for what she's about to create. Super, super cool. But that is true for a lot of us. We find ourselves going through the motions, checking boxes, like doing the things that we should do, and the ability to step into so much more comes often with transition and pain. So we're always expanding. So that's another part about the journey that's really, really beautiful. Chuck says, what hasn't worked becomes our belief system. Yes, versus what could be. That's so true. Yeah, what hasn't worked, and then, we come to believe that is all that's possible. And then our brain steers us always into looking to be right. It's trying to reinforce what you believe. And it's always looking for ways to prove you right. And so then you find evidence that reinforces things that actually are so limiting. Yeah. You know what? I know. She's not able to go on the retreat this weekend. It's actually full, but I know it would have been awesome to have her, and it would have been fun for you guys to meet. I'm sure you would have had a lot of cool things to share. As you move into the different stages of life, you might feel this sense of like wanting to upgrade. So like for her, she's moving into this next season of life. She's had this full life in very many ways of raising her kids and the stuff that she's built in her career. And now it's kind of like, man, I've always wanted to live part of the year in another country, and I've always wanted to do these things in these creative spaces that have been completely on the shelf. So writing, or there's all kinds of things. I don't want to get into too much of her story, but there's just so much more of her that she wants to connect to and experience. And so if that connects for you, that is part of this journey of unfolding and really kind of upgrading as you get to different stages in your life. So that's something too, that it's just never totally complete. So maybe recent events, everything going on in the world might be having you at this place where you're just kind of standing back and looking at life like, what the heck? Or maybe there's been like a forced transition, like if you've lost a job or something like that, and you're like, okay, what is next? I really want to encourage you to do some of this free coaching here with us, upgrading your sense of identity, really connecting to the things that are in you. And we're going to do lots of different ways to explore and tap into and get stronger in, build confidence, and connect to what is in you and what you love and what your strengths are, and have you falling in love with that and enjoying it. So too often we put our relationship with ourselves at the bottom of the list. We put it last. And all of the other things in our life actually benefit when we make that a priority. So when we put our relationship with ourselves much, much higher, and not expecting other people to give us those things that we actually can be living from ourselves, it's just a much, much more powerful. When we do the work, when we look at it, when we spend time with ourselves, when we grow that place internally, it benefits every other thing that we touch, every other thing that we do, and every other relationship that we have. So I really want to encourage you guys to lean into this with us. So our call to action today, our activator, is I want you to start a list. So this could be in your journal, this could be just on a scrap piece of paper, this could be something on your computer or in your phone. But start a list, and if it's digitally and you don't see it regularly, I encourage you to put a reminder on your phone to just maybe reflect one time a day, and it could be for just a couple of minutes, maybe even a minute. But start to put a list together, writing down a growing list that will continue to evolve over the time that we do this, of things that you notice that genuinely bring you life. So I basically want to start helping you have an awareness of the things that you do because you think you should be doing them, because you ought to, because you're obligated to, and the things that really genuinely bring you life, the things that you do that you leave with more energy after you do them, the things that you just really love. And those are going to be totally different for all of us. So for some people, it's going to be things like getting in nature. Other people, it's going to be things that are creative. Other people, it might be something more analytical, or reading, or hobbies that you used to do when you were a kid that you used to just get lost in. You would lose track of time because it was something that you enjoyed so much. She actually said that. That was one of the things she said, like, man, when I do this, I just get lost in it. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I want to hear more about those things, because that's a connector to something that's really in you. So just start making a list of those things that you love to do that genuinely bring you joy, and start contrasting it with things that you're like, oh man, I do this thing, but I don't actually love it. It doesn't really bring me a whole lot of life. That's a have to, a should. And there are certainly things that we get to do because it's part of taking responsibility for things, and it's not like so fun. Everything you do in life isn't going to be so fun, but just start noticing the things that you're doing that bring you so much life, that bring you joy, and just start listing them. Have a list somewhere. So start that list today. You can name it Love Tos if you want. And just start listing the things that genuinely bring you joy. Simply drawing your attention to this is going to steer you into those things that fill you up, that align you with who you most truly are, and what it is that you love. So have fun starting that list, and it'll be an ongoing thing. You can keep adding to it. It doesn't need to be long, and it doesn't need to take a long time. Just start the list today. So have fun with that. We'll be back again tomorrow. Upgrading identity, building confidence, helping you know and fall in love more with who you are.